All right, a lot's been said. Let's give you exactly what we're talking about. Channel 7 story. 2 weeks before he was suspended for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing substance policy, Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams was nearly arrested, was not arrested, by Detroit police over a gun found in a vehicle. Now, as a result of questions by Channel 7, wondering, hey, what actually took place here, the department is investigating why Jamo was released from custody after officers had planned to take him to jail. The receiver came into contact with police after midnight on October 8th when the police pulled over a vehicle being driven by Jamo's brother near the corner of Connor and Jefferson Avenue. The vehicle was stopped for speeding, according to the police. When questioned by the officer, Jamo's brother disclosed that there were 2 guns in the car, which is his obligation, and he did that properly. The first laid in the back seat, while the second, according to police, was under Jamo's seat. Officers found the gun in the back seat was registered to the brother, who had a CPL. The gun under Jamo's seat was properly registered to Jamo, but he did not possess a CPL. The officer on site concluded this was a problem and told Williams, Jamo, that he was going to be taken into custody for carrying a concealed weapon. It's clear from the body cam footage the officer doesn't know who he is. But repeatedly, Jamo would remind him, quote, "I play for the Lions, bro. I'm Jameson Williams." Minutes later, "Bro, I play for the Detroit Lions." Minutes later, once more, "Bro, I play for the Lions." The officer told Williams his position did not influence whether or not he'd be arrested. So good for this officer. Seems like he wants to carry out the law. At one point during the stop, Williams' brother told police the gun belongs to him, but later on, Jamo would admit that the gun is his. Quote, "I got the gun for protection. Don't you guys know where I live? Detroit." Williams was handcuffed at the and placed in the back of the squad car. In an interview on Monday, Detroit Police Commander Michael McGinnis supported the officers on scene. "I feel like there was probable cause to arrest. He was under arrest by the patrol officer, and because of that, he should have been conveyed to the Detroit Detention Center and processed. But Jamo wasn't taken to jail. Instead, a supervisor was called to the scene. The department says that's not unusual for a high-profile stop, and the precaution was made to make sure policy is followed in cases that could create media coverage." So by Jamo saying who he was, it did invite a more delayed process and more, supervision. Within a few minutes, the sergeant arrived on the scene. Unlike the responding officers, the sergeant was a Lions fan, immediately recognized Jamo by name. Body cam footage shows that he had cell phone wallpaper of a Lions logo. So this guy, big Lions fan. Over the next 30 minutes, the sergeant would make a series of phone calls to higher-ranking officials trying to determine if Williams needed to be arrested or if the CPL covered both. At one point, the sergeant is seen leaning into the arresting officer saying, "I'm so mad at you." Commander McGinnis, who reviewed the footage, said that was in a jovial way. He wasn't like reprimanding them.
Right.
After conferring with multiple supervisors, the sergeant makes 2 more phone calls, and it appears Jamo is going to be taken to jail. "Be advised he's coming in," quote, "You might want to make special accommodations," the sergeant says in a phone call. "He's going to be there for carrying a concealed weapon," he says in another. So even this sergeant, who is a Lions fan, goes, "Hey, the facts are what they are. I've tried to make a million calls. It's been a half hour. Hey, ready the facility. He's going to jail." Minutes later, things changed. The sergeant spoke to a lieutenant who said Williams should be released from custody. The lieutenant side of the conversation cannot be heard. The sergeant says, "Oh, okay, beautiful. I'll let him go. You're a bleeping hero. Thank you so much." Williams would be taken out of handcuffs, gun returned. Police report was not written. No warrant request was submitted. Prompted by questions from Channel 7, like, wait, this doesn't add up. Detroit police have launched an internal affairs investigation into the stop and the decision not to arrest him. Chief James White was very unhappy about the totality of the circumstances here, even go as far as to say he was pissed off, Commander McGinnis said. Last week, DPD submitted a warrant request to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Williams is facing a charge of carrying a concealed weapon in a motor vehicle. For the sake of Williams, his attorney, Todd Flood, released a statement. "On October 8th, my clients were pulled over for an alleged traffic violation. During the course of the stop, my clients were both cooperative and respectful with police officers. With the 2 pistols that were found in the vehicle, they were both properly registered, and the driver in the vehicle had the proper credentials to carry them. We have cooperated with law enforcement and will continue to do so," end quote. That's where we're at today.
Yeah.
It looks like that lieutenant pulled some strings and got Jamo out of a sticky situation that both the officers and even Lions fan sergeant thought was a crime. Having the firearm legally but without the CPL in that case is a felony. Maybe it gets pled down to a misdemeanor. Maybe they can sort it out and try to argue that they're both being claimed by his brother. Either way, none of that happened because the police just wanted to make it go away, which is a problem. I know people are going, well, he's a celebrity, this happens. It's not supposed to work that way. The laws are supposed to be applied equally to all of us. If the police aren't going to apply the laws equally to all of us, that's a huge story that one of our local news stations should be digging into. It happens to involve the Lions, so some fans are going, you're trying to tear down Jamo. Jamo's actions are at the center of this. Jamo is doing this to Jamo, period. How it's being discussed is only because of what he did. No one is creating a story.
Right.
It already existed and is now being shared and told.
And even if he's arrested, doesn't mean he is either ultimately charged or is charged with a felony.
You're saying moving forward?
Yeah, moving forward. I mean, it could have been pled down to
of course, it still
misdemeanor.
could. Yeah.
And still could and probably likely will be. So it's, when you look at all the facts that are there, did he get preferential treatment? Sure seems like it.
Sure looks like it, yeah.
And will he get that moving forward? TBD.
And I don't know. And what's the NFL's role in this moving forward, John? Like, what do you think how they view this?
If ultimately he's not charged with anything,
goes away.
There's not much that they can do.
Yeah.
And if this had happened on NFL ground, in an NFL facility, now the NFL has jurisdiction. They really don't have jurisdiction until it would have happened or he violates the personal conduct policy.
I was going to ask you, if he does end up getting like arrested and charged and facing, would the NFL then step in as a conduct issue?
I think they will wait to see if he is what's
is
the
he
sentencing?
guilty?
Is he guilty? What is he guilty of? What does he plead to?
Sure.
Then the NFL will make their decision.
So the chances that he gets suspended for this incident?
Slim to none.
Okay.
I
think the Lions, I don't think they've done anything wrong in this instance.
No.
They did not have a player who was arrested. Now,
right.
The Lions may have breathed a sigh of relief in this that they don't lose the player, right? I mean, it's not their job to police the city of Detroit. So I don't know that the Lions necessarily did something wrong here, John.
No, Lions didn't do anything wrong.
No. And they're just going to deal with the cards that are dealt to them.
Right. And now it's a matter of how do they handle Jameson Williams? What is that relationship like? And what is it like between Jameson Williams and Antoine Randall, the wide receiver coach, between him and Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, ultimately, Sheila? Like how annoyed are they? And what does that a level of annoyance raise to? Because if he still continues to produce and his production on the field outweighs the distractions, he'll still be a Lion.
Yeah, if you're not suspended, you can play and outperform nonsense. If you get suspended, and he's been suspended 2 different times, then you can't outplay the nonsense. And Dan Campbell and the Lions knew that this had happened before they addressed the media with the performance-enhancing substance. So any frustration that you had heard from them probably factored this in too. And they have also said that they will have his back, that they're going to give him every chance, that he's...
And they have.
And they have. And I think he's talented. They certainly want to give him every chance, but the way I put it is I don't know how long he'll be in Detroit unless he can shape up.